I wanted to hear what these guys had to say, but I knew that you were going to come up. So if you could take off, I'm sure you were listening to what I was asking. If you could take
Yeah,
off and go forward with that, that would be great.
right. Okay. So the philosophy behind layer one and why it's good for the Zen ecosystem sounds something like this. So generally, when people design layer ones, they issue those tokens and they try to bring a lot of money into their layer ones, and they promote those tokens, and they try to exchange stable coins for those tokens. Basically, try to suck in as many people as they can with their money into that layer one, whatever that might be. So, for example, Doge Chain is doing something interesting. They have a bridge for Dogecoin crowd to send the Dogecoin into the bridge and get DC on their chain. So that's a very interesting way to do it because they're tapping in into existing ecosystem of Dogecoin, and there's a lot of holders. I think there's like maybe 5-10 million holders at this point. It also converts Dogecoin from being non-Ethereum based into an Ethereum based EVM ecosystem within their chain. And so they're literally giving Dogecoin more utility. So that's really good for the token that exists. And so what we're trying to do, we're trying to follow a similar model where the layer one becomes an application built on top of the fair crypto, which is Zen. So Zen is free to mint, and you can mint it on 10 different chains. So there's a lot of production of Zen. However, it is what brings the value to Zen is two things: the community and whatever is built on top of Zen. Now, layer one is a logical choice to give Zen more utility. And so, what we thought is something like this: we want Zen to be burned. And when I say burned, it's not just it disappears, it actually produces something else. Like, for example, with NFTs, you burn Zen and you transfer the value to a Zen NFT that you can now trade on OpenSea, which is an entirely different market. The RC721 crowd is completely different people. They don't even look at the RC20 sometimes. I mean, some people like myself, I do both. I understand both markets, but it brings more liquidity to the whole ecosystem because the users are pretty much the same because we have a cross uh, kind of like cross interest between the NFT crowd and the regular trading Uniswap crowd, so on and so forth. So with layer one being created, we want to exchange the burned Zen for the native coin on that layer one so that people can actually do things on that layer one cheaply without spending a lot of gas, which I would expect people would be interested in building more interesting Zen products right there on that Zen layer one. Now, it's kind of a reverse model because, again, going back to what I said earlier a few minutes ago, generally layer one comes up first, then it issues the coin, then that coin is sold. Now, we don't have to sell any coins because we have Zen is being held by the community members, and we want to give a community members an application to convert their Zen into the new native coin that lives on that layer one that can be used for gas. Now, when gas is used, half of it will be burned at least, and also the that native coin will have a burn schedule too. So it's actually the benefit of this whole thing is that number one is that on Ethereum plus 9 other chains, there is more reasons to burn Zen, giving more value to the holders of Zen and the minters of Zen, even to those people who are not participating in the layer one. But people who do participate in layer one, now they have a way to get there without actually buying anything. Like think about the follow the crumbs, like so to speak. You mint your Zen. Let's say you spend $10, $50, $500, $1,000, doesn't matter. You produce Zen for yourself, and now it becomes more functional because you can convert it into a native coin on that layer one. But you're also helping the community by reducing the supply. You're just migrating yourself with the Zen ERC20 token that you have minted towards another application layer, which is the new layer one, basically. So that's the whole idea and the genesis of the new blockchain.
Okay, Jeff, real quick, Jack, on like you said yourself, normally layer one's launched and then they launch their token to support that blockchain.
Right.
But here, like you said, Zen was launched, and not just Zen launched on the ERC20 chain, but it was launched now on 10 chains.
Right.
When you launch your layer one, well, Zen's layer one, when you launch that, and you said that they're already going to be holding the native token, which native token is going to be supported on your layer one? Is it going to be Ethereum Zen, because each Zen gets a different yield because of the amount of different mentors and the different values? And so it obviously can't be, or are you? I don't know how you would do that, but you're not going to be able to combine all the Zen on 10 chains and give everybody, or is that what you're going to do, is give everybody that amount of Zen on your layer one out of all of their wallets on all the chains?
So all the chains will be supported. However, the ratios of conversion will be different. For example, and that's just an example, will not necessarily be the case. On Ethereum, to the new native token or coin on the layer one, it's one-to-one relationship. On Binance BSC chain, it's going to be maybe 20 to 1. So 20 Zen on Binance is equivalent to 1 Zen on Ethereum, and different other chains will have different ratios and different rates of conversion. So that's how we can actually receive uh, multitude of different holders of Zen on different chains, and then convert it properly based on the amount of gas that the person has spent.
So the equivalent value of whatever amount of Zen you have is going to be converted to what that value of Ethereum Zen is, and then copied on your layer one. Is that correct?
Right. It's going to be
Okay.
relative liquidity rates
Right.
between the chains. That's how everything's following the funnel. So
Okay.
all of the chains is the wider area of the funnel, and then it gets into the narrower area of the funnel and lands into a native token on the layer one
Well, and that
based on
sounds real.
different.
That sounds real fair to me, and would make the most sense.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's kind of
it does make the most sense, because if we
right.
look at different chains, we see, like, for example, Polygon has like 3 or 4 times more Zen just because it's
Right.
cheap.
Right. And so the next thing, fees on your layer one when this does happen. What are we looking at? Obviously, it's going to be an empty chain, so it's going to have cheap fees anyway. But I mean, relative, you thinking with the adoption, where do you thinking like the gas is going to be on
It
this? I mean,
it
just I
So we're gonna follow the Polygon model, and the
right.
gas fee is likely going to be very, very similar. And currently, we're looking at probably the difference of, I would say, 50 to 100 times cheaper than Ethereum.
And space wise, without getting into a lot of technical stuff here with us, Jack, and everybody gets lost. Space wise, how long do you think that can support mass minting at the rate? Because obviously some people are a little confused on gas. It's not just what's going on; it's also the space of the chain that's left.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, it,
absolutely. Disk space is
right,
important. Like, for
right,
example, the OKX chain, which was very inexpensive chain, fraction of a cent
correct,
to mint, we used up 90% of their space just
right,
being
right.
there. And so, in this particular case, please note that you will not be able to mint Zen on the new chain. You only can convert the burned Zen from different chains. Burned Zen, which means literally there will be a lot less people burning that people are producing. That's currently we're looking at 8%. So 8% of burners are burning Zen for ZenFTs. Now, you will follow the same model burning Zen, and maybe we'll have 5 or 10% of people burning Zen on Ethereum plus other chains and converting to the new chain. So the space usage is not going to be huge. It's going to be something very reasonable because no token will be mass produced on the chain.
I got you. So then that goes back to a little bit of what I was saying about, as far as, say, you've had 10 chains and say just 100 wallets to keep the math a little bit easy, and we went 100 days, and so you're not necessarily getting your copies put on there and then you're going to start minting. you're
No,
you're
no.
also getting the equivalent value, but the burnt that you've done. So really, and is the only burn way at this point right now the NFTs, the way to be able to burn Zen
So
as an
so
individual?
so currently there is NFTs right now. Currently,
Right.
however, we're releasing this thing called a layer one treasury or layer one registry. Actually, it's a smart contract on Ethereum. Plus, we'll be lending on every other chain we're on. This particular contract will take your Zen, whatever the amount is, could be one Zen, could be 100, could be a billion. You decide how much is that you want to burn. You will send your Zen into that contract. It will burn it, and it will create a record for the new chain to consume and issue the amount on that chain. You see what I mean? But it's not going to be one-to-one relationship. And the reason why it's not one-to-one relationship, because um, Zen currently is hyper inflationary, and so the value is going down, even though the market cap is moving higher. But the new chain will have about 1 billion total coins in its entirety, and no more will be produced. So it gets 1 billion, and then this 1 billion roughly gets distributed among the burners. Now the burning ratios will be maintained with the decayed formula based on logarithms over a period of time. We haven't decided what time it will be or how long it's going to be. But the way it's going to work is that if you're an early adapter and you're coming in at launch time, you will get more native coins on the new chain than tomorrow or the month later. That will make it fair. And the distribution, obviously, because it's capped and then is uncapped, ultimately there will be less and less and less coins issued uh, as the time goes by. So eventually, based on the time spent from the launch until the end of the distribution period, which is probably going to be years, by the way, you will have less and less and less and less conversion of the burn Zen to the new coin, which actually will make people compete trying to burn even more Zen. Because think about it, more Zen is coming out every year, every month, and your mints are actually minting your more Zen. So it naturally makes it fair for the new chain to consume more burned Zen, so that you're actually improving the ecosystem for all of those 10 different chains, but at the same time, you're getting more and more valued coin um, on the new chain, basically. So we want the value to sink in into this 1 billion distribution model.
Yeah, that's great, man. That was perfect. Any idea? This is a little simpler question. Any idea on where you're at on time of this? I know how it works. I know it's no, no hard cap on when it's going to be launched. But you got any rough idea of what you're looking at? I mean, on this layer one.
So just to uh, I mean, so just the full transparency, we launched this thing internally a couple of days ago, uh, and it's been up for like 3 days so far for the development team. So we're testing it today. The next thing that's going to happen is this new burn registry contract will be created. It's going to be quite simple. And in fact, if you look at my Twitter, I have tweeted the ZNFT that looks like proof of burns NFT. It's right there on my account. It looks like a little flame
Right.
or large flame, and it tells you if you zoom in how much Zen is that you burned. So those are obviously can be tradable, but the registry will issue that Zen NFT for you. Now, whether you sell it or not, it doesn't matter. It's just basically a certificate that you have done the burn, and that burn is registered within that registry ledger of that new contract that actually issues this NFT. Now, the NFTs could be a vanity thing. You can flex with it, whatever. Right? Doesn't matter. The point is that you have done the action, you have burned it. So that's coming imminently. And in terms of the actual I would say timeline for the new chain. So we're going to work on it and we're going to make sure it's robust. I would say within a month or two or three. I actually do not know at this point. I have to talk to my guys and we will decide. We will launch a test net. And in the test net, you will be able to actually see how this whole conversion works and issue yourself this new native coin. Once we got all the kinks figured out and make sure everything is stable and secure, because obviously we want those things to be secure because money is involved, then I would say that we will probably issue a timeline for launch. Currently, I cannot commit to any timeline, obviously, but so far we haven't hit any road blocks in terms of this whole thing working. The next step for our team is actually to look at the disk usage, as you alluded to, obviously, look at the whole capacity and see how much money it's actually going to cost us to run it to make sure we can absorb all the traffic. And I would say, I mean, like, I know that you guys before you have heard like 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever, coming in May, blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking right now it will probably come out in 2024, maybe the first quarter. It's not a commitment, but I just want to sit on it and make sure that it's safe to use. And it's a long-term development project. Obviously, it's something that we can develop in parallel with everything else we're developing for the ecosystem. Like everything you see on Twitter, there's like a little roadmap snippet that tells you what we're doing.
Sure, of course. So, as a Zen minter, so let's just assume I'm a big Zen minter. Myself or anybody else in the room or that's listening, would the best thing or advice possibly that it sounds like could be is for people to better understand and maybe get a hold of some of these NFTs or purchase them with their Zen and Burn, and that would be maybe the most advantageous thing for them to get in once the layer one launches?
It's a good question. So obviously, one thing that we're strongly considering is the airdrop for all of these NFT holders. No matter what NFT you hold, there will be an airdrop. So whatever wallet holds NFTs, based on what you hold, you're gonna get the L1 coins for sure. Um, and of course, if you have limited or Apex that requires then burn, those you will be able to register in this new contract that I was talking about. And so even if you burned in the past, that will translate to um, the emissions, like so to speak, the emissions of the new coin.
Hey, is there other ways so that if I don't say that I don't know or anybody else, is there other ways to burn other than the NFTs for mentors? So, what I'm really trying to do here, Jack, is to help out people that are mentors that maybe not realize what might be the best thing, like I was saying, the most advantageous thing for them to help them when the layer one launches to get a leg up a little bit. I know how big you are on wanting to help anybody they can. That's what a lot of this is about. So I'm just trying to get out there the most information as simplest as can be to where people can get a leg up ahead of this thing. You know what I mean?
Well, I would say definitely minting is a good idea
Of course.
because and obviously if layer one is coming out next year and your mints are due to come out next year, then that's your best sweet spot for having the most zen, because you get to then decide, do you want to hold on to that zen, do you want to sell it, do you want to burn it, do you want to turn it into NFTs, do you want to get new L1 tokens, coins. So I
That
would
that was
say
going to
that,
lead to my next question. Sorry, I
yeah,
don't mean to interrupt you. I have to talk while it's on my mind sometimes, or I'll
yeah, yeah,
forget it.
yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Would individuals be better off to try to accumulate more Zen before layer one comes out, as opposed to it their minting coming and layer one's already been launched?
Um, that is hard to say. So
That's going to have a little bit to do with the market, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, so if the market's gas prices and Ethereum runs away from us, then
Right.
all of a sudden, like right now, to mint 128 VMUs, I'm looking at $530, like right now, or
Right.
actually it's 550, 560, and that's a weekend. It's an evening, so but but the next year or within 6 months, it could be five times the amount, right? And so if you wait too long, you will possibly miss the low gas and possibly miss the cheaper Ethereum.
Right.
So
So the minting, obviously, because you're minting on whatever chain it was, it's not going to come out on your layer one. It's going to come out of whatever chain you were on, and then you're going to have to do whatever burn and then convert into your layer one. So it could be pretty pricey for that. So I guess if I was to answer a little bit, maybe it would be better to get it before, to me anyway, if
I would
as
say
much as I can.
I would say, given the roadmap and all of the things that are coming out, which are aiming to give Zen utility and to burn Zen, I would say that it's a good idea to max mint with the cheapest gas possible. So that would be
Right.
my recommendation.
Right. Okay. Well, I
Max
appreciate your
mint,
time.
max term. Yeah.
Hey,
Thank
Jack, I appreciate your time with me. You know what I mean? I'm sure other people probably have questions